right, folks, we are giving away a Nintendo Switch 2. You can enter right now through the link in the pinned comment or the description. The only requirement to enter is to be subscribed. It is still absolutely free to enter. If you already have one, you can enter to win one for a friend, a family, a brother, a sister, whatever, right? All right, setting that aside, we have some news to get into today. So we got Famitsu sales, which have a very, very interesting caveat with them that I find to be at least worth discussing. We actually get a look at Nintendo's new development building in Kyoto. So I think that's quite fascinating. We have a small story from Matt Piscatella. He works at Circana, and it's a little bit of note on consumer spending. Tomorrow is actually going to be the Circana MPD report, like the update for the US video game sales for last month. So that'll be in tomorrow's video, but we have a little bit of a preview of something to look at today. And there's actually a caveat with that preview because there's some quotes being attributed to Matt Piscatella that are about Switch 2 that I cannot verify. So you know what? I failed you guys today. Or they're made up. We'll talk about that. And maybe someone, I'll challenge you guys out there to find these quotes for me because I'm going to put them in the video in case they are real. But I just want to note, when we get to that section, I need your guys' help. I've spent hours today pulling my hair out. So I don't want to believe they're made up, but maybe they are. We'll see. More than that, we have a Xbox story that we're going to talk about today because it puts the Switch 2 in a really interesting situation. I'm kind of laughing about it because it's a positive situation, but it kind of sucks. So we're going to talk about that. Oh, and by the way, Nintendo today announced and launched a massive sale for the summer over on the eShop. So we got to go over all of that. Guys, let's go ahead and just dive into our very first story right now over at Famitsu. We're talking about Famitsu sales. So first off, this is for last week, and you're going to see the sales of Tomodachi Life still holding strong at number 1. And Powerful Pro Baseball, that was number 1 last week, is now number 2. But we see a brand new entry from Square Enix this week in the Adventures of Elliot, and the Switch 2 version has outsold the PlayStation 5 version. We have not seen that necessarily be a consistent thing with Switch 2 versions of games compared to PS5, but we just saw it happen here during launch week. And you might go, well, okay. I mean, it's a Square Enix game. This doesn't mean anything. Well, if we scroll down, the Switch 2 sold another 26,000, so, about 500 more or so than last week. But look at the total lifetime sales of Switch 2. 5.940 million. So 5,940,500 units. Go look at the base PS5, the original PlayStation 5. Just look at this. 5,920,000. So no, Switch 2 has not surpassed the overall sales of PlayStation 5. You got to include the digital version. You got to include the Pro in there. So it still has a ways to go there, although it's pacing to outsell the entire PS5 family later this year. But the base Switch 2 has outsold the base PlayStation 5 in a little over a year. So when you go back up and look at these charts, it starts to make more sense now why you're seeing a multi-platform title sell better on Switch 2 than PS5 in Japan, because Switch 2 is actually slowly overtaking the PS5 in Japan, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So kind of an interesting story. Good start, I think, for Elliot. I'm not really sure what the sales expectations in Japan were for that game, so it's hard to know if they hit their mark or not. What's not hard to know if they're in the mark is Nintendo building a new building. They've actually been doing this for years. And today's announcement includes another delay for this building. But we get a new look, at least at a render. It's interesting because I don't think the final building is going to quite look like this render. But that's because this render also looks way different than the prior render. Let's go take a look here. So Nintendo gives the first look at its new Kyoto Development Center. So Kyoto is where their main headquarters is. And it says the Technology Development Building. It is going to be a 10-floor building. And it's going to be their new research and development hub for software and hardware. So basically a ton of their software and hardware development teams are going to be in this building. So it's going to allow Nintendo to expand All right. So the building, which Nintendo has now confirmed will be named the Technology Development Building, is located next to its main headquarters in Kyoto after it successfully purchased the land there in 2022, taking up a building area of just over 6,084 square meters and a total floor area of 49,305 square meters. The Technology Development Building will have 9 floors above ground and a basement floor. Initially due to be completed by the end of 2027 and proposed as a 12-story building, Nintendo stated back in 2023 that it had been delayed until 2028 because it decided to, quote-unquote, upscale the building. According to the company's latest information, this has been delayed even further, and now it's not scheduled to open till March of 2029, with a total construction cost estimated to be $747.7 million US, almost $1 billion being sunk in to build this new development building. So it says the Technology Development Building will serve as Nintendo's new research and development hub for software and hardware, Nintendo said in a statement. It will house offices for developers, as well as development server facilities and other functions and equipment necessary for future research and development. It will continue to receive ongoing investment. Moving forward, we will continue to strive to deliver entertainment that's unique to Nintendo's customers around the world by continuing to build the Technology Development Building and investing in further research and development, providing more why people choose Nintendo as a unique and reliable form of entertainment. I do find this to be just really, really, really interesting because you can see the location of their stuff here, right? So you see Nintendo's main headquarters. This is going to be the Technology Development Building. So again, right next to the main headquarters. And then they have the Nintendo Development Center. So this is basically Nintendo campus, right? They have these three things, plots of land, all next to each other. Wouldn't be surprised if they own this plot of land here, or maybe if they might buy it in the future. But obviously, Nintendo now has a way to connect all three of their major territories here because they own this land in between now that they're putting that new building on. And obviously, this is going to allow Nintendo to expand. And this is really important to talk about because we are in an industry that feels like it's constantly shrinking. Every day, we're hearing about studio closures and layoffs. And here's Nintendo investing nearly $1 billion to hire more people. I think that's just really cool. So, Nintendo using some of that Switch success money to expand their teams and become a bigger company. So, more power to them. This building's taken a long time, though. And I'm not sure why it's taking so long to build it. Maybe because the plans keep changing, because they admitted in this article that there had been a change in plans. So maybe that's what's going on, but it's really hard to judge without more direct information. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into our next story here. Actually, before we do, I just want to show you that this was an official Nintendo thing. I know sometimes people don't believe some of these articles, and when I have the original source right here, I just can quickly show you guys. I went to VGC because they were bringing in translations and all of that. All right, next up, this is this weird story from Matt Piscatella, and it's weird not because of him, at least as far as I can tell. So Matt Piscatella put out this on Blue Sky saying, the U.S. new physical video game software spending for 12 months ending May of 2027 to 2026. You're going to notice, obviously, there's been a downtrend. This is physical game consumer spending. So we've seen physical game spending go down and down and down as digital goes up and up. And this trend has been going on for a while. But there's something interesting in 2026. This bar is slightly higher than 2025. Why? Why is it higher? Well, My Nintendo News posted about this, and they included some quotes from Matt Piscatella. And, let's just go over it. And then we're going to explain why you need to be skeptical. All right. So this is the report on My Nintendo News. So it says Switch 2 launch saw a big jump in physical games sold. This is the Switch 2 bump, he said. Physical software sales on Nintendo platforms are up around 26% compared to a year ago, but still down from the year ending in May 2024. All other ecosystems are continuing to drop by double-digit percentages, he continued, very likely to be a temporary blip. At some point, this will all bottom out. Perhaps we're getting there now, until the console manufacturers decide to no longer produce the units with physical drives. Now, this all sounds great, and it does make some sense to think, well, you know what? maybe Nintendo's games are selling better right now at this period in time than they were last year. And as such, that means that physical sales are actually increasing because Nintendo's physical sales are increasing. This actually all makes sense and could be exactly why we're seeing growth this year in physical sales versus last year. The problem is I can't find anywhere that Matt said this. So this is the only article I could find these quotes existing in. I Googled them. This is it. So all that pops up. So, okay, we got 3 links in here, right? So this one here is linking to, if you can't tell in the bottom left corner, another My Nintendo News article that's about Mario 64. Why that is linked here is beyond me. Then you see this one says that launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 helped bump the physical sales. When you mouse over Switch 2, why it's a hyperlink is beyond me. It's linking to Final Fantasy VII Revelation features. Don't believe me? Click on it. Oh, look. What are we doing? Oh, don't believe me on this one? Click on it. Look. What are we doing? These links are irrelevant to this news. Then we go, okay, well, then it must be this first link, because here's what it says. While the video game market moves increasingly toward an unfortunate all-digital future, there has been some good news today. So let me mouse over. This is all one link. Good news today, all one link. None of this is different. So let's click on it. Where does it take me? Oh, it takes me over to GameIndustry.biz. All right, so let's glance through GameIndustry.biz. Oh, look, they're referencing Blue Sky. You know what's really funny? In the midst of this story, I want to be very clear here. In the midst of this story, so much has changed that literally between the time that I set everything up to record, which takes me like 5 minutes, to the time I got to this story at this point, My Nintendo News has changed the hyperlink and now provided the source for the quotes. I want to show you something here just to prove I'm not crazy, okay? Because the quotes are here. Okay, these quotes, speaking to GameIndustry.biz, Piscatella said this stuff, okay? So we now have the direct source. But here's the problem. That is not, look right here. See, this is not what they had hyperlinked earlier. They hyperlinked to this earlier. The same post I showed you because that's how I found out about it. So in this post, he doesn't say any of this stuff. Why? Because he said it to GameIndustry.biz. Really happy that they corrected that source, but what did it take for them to correct the source? You know, do you think they did it out of the kindness of their heart? Just a serious question. Because I want to prove I'm not crazy. And here's the thing. I'm going to prove to you guys right now that I'm not crazy, or at least prove to you that I was already thinking about this hours ago. Here we go. On a post I made 3 hours ago. Hey, My Nintendo News. I know friends of mine have issues with you reporting in the past. Now I'm just going to throw out a grievance. You have an article on this post on Blue Sky. Nothing wrong about this. You even linked the post to Blue Sky's post. The problem, you have the following quotes. I put those quotes in, and none of them are at the link you provided. So, thankfully, they did finally update it after I called them out. It is what it is. But point is, at least people won't be misrepresented, and it was a real story the whole time, so I'm glad we went over it. I wasted enough of your time bitching about bad reporting. It's not as if I've never made mistakes. Of course I've made mistakes. You know what company has made a lot of mistakes? Xbox. And I can't call this a mistake because price increases are just an unfortunate reality that everyone's doing. And more are coming for Xbox. That's kind of the story today, right? Xbox Series global price increase. So the big deal here, and why anyone that owns a Switch 2 might care, or anyone who's a Nintendo fan might care, is the cheapest model of Xbox is now going to be $500. And that means Switch 2, at least for a month, will be the cheapest platform out there. I say a month. These price increases don't go in effect until it says like October right here. So like, or I think it's actually August or something, right? So with these price increases going into effect in August, Nintendo's $50 increase goes in effect in September. There's going to be like a 1 month period where Switch 2 is the cheapest. Technically right now, Series S will still be the cheapest, but there'll be a 1 month where Switch 2 is. But the whole point here is that the cheapest entry point, by the time we get to the Switch 2 price increase, the cheapest entry point into the modern current generation video game platforms is now $500. Reminder that Xbox Series S launched all the way back in 2020 for $300. Reminder that Nintendo, as of 2019, had a Switch out there for $200 in the Switch Lite. Yeah, man. Gaming's just so expensive to get into, at least in the console space and the PC gaming space. Like, if you don't already own a device, like, it's just so expensive to get into it right now. But that's what makes this next story really important, and that is that Nintendo is launched as of today all the way through July 8th, a massive eShop sale. Let's go take a look here. So here we are over on the eShop, and you're going to see some cool stuff. How about Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition? Yeah, $70 originally, down to $48.99. Monster Hunter Stories, Twisted Reflection, right? That one's down to $55.99. That's a newer release. Nice to see that one down. Three Houses seeing a nice discount, down to $41.99. Nice to see that. Hades 2 on Switch 2 and Switch, but obviously that's dropping almost $10, down to $20.99. You're seeing Age of Calamity. Again, a great Hyrule Warriors game. Coming in at $41.99, down 30%. You're seeing Red Dead Redemption 2, or sorry, I got excited for a second. Red Dead Redemption 2 is not confirmed. Red Dead Redemption, you're seeing that one on sale for 50% off. Dark Souls Remastered on sale for 50% off. Hell, Warriors 3 Hope's coming back around. Fire Emblem Warriors coming all the way back around with a discount. Right, Hello Kitty, can't forget about Hello Kitty Adventure. Yeah, Island Adventure, let's get this right. Switch 2 edition, down to $30. But you see this all across. You're seeing a lot of stuff. Power Wash Simulator. You're seeing Minecraft Dungeons on sale. It Takes Two is on sale. What a great game that is. You're seeing the most recent NBA 2K on sale, although we're not that far away from getting a new NBA 2K, so maybe wait on that one. Blueprints, Assassin's Creed Shadows is even on sale. And this is the premium edition, so that's a 35% discount from the $100 price. Marvel Cosmic Invasion. You're seeing a sale there, and there's more. There's more and more and more. It's going to keep going. See Persona 3, Split Fiction, Star Wars Outlaws, Cult of the Lamb. There's a lot, guys. LA Noire. Darwin's Paradox is already on sale. That's really cool to see. Little Nightmares 3 is on sale. Guys, this is great. Crash Team Raid. This is like a really, really big summer sale. I actually love this. And, again, more and more and more. And it looks like it goes all the way down to Sonic X Shadow Generations. Looks like the final one on here, but there's a lot. Like this is not the biggest sale ever, like in terms of sheer number of games on sale, but there's a lot of big name games. I mean, look, Persona 5 Royale down to $17.99. Killer price for that game. Absolutely killer. Bubsy 4D even down at $16. Pretty damn good. The Cowabunga collection down to $16. The Absalom down to $18.74. These are good games. So No More Heroes 3 for crying out loud, down to $25. I'm just saying that, like, Travis Strikes Again. My gosh, there's some nostalgia hitting for me with that one. So yeah, guys, I think this is good. I think this is a really good sale, and I wanted to make you guys aware of it. You've now seen what all the games are and their prices. So if you're interested, of course, go check your eShop. We'll link to this down below as well if you want to make some purchases from your phone. And you know what, folks? That's actually going to be it. I know our longest section was about my frustrations with one particular news report out there, and obviously it has since been corrected, and I could have just not had any of that rant be in this video, and I could have just literally re-recorded that entire section like a normal news section, but I gave you a little inside baseball. These are the frustrating things I get to deal with in trying to confirm and verify stories. Hours were wasted. Google was not bringing up GameIndustry.biz. But that's because they weren't being quoted anywhere else besides My Nintendo News at the time. So it's frustrating. It also goes to show what some people don't realize about this gig and covering news. I get to waste lots of hours of my day seemingly wasting my time trying to find out information like this, only for it to be fixed, in seconds. It's a frustrating part of the gig, but it's part of the job. And I get to deal with this, so you guys don't. So I hope you appreciate it. Again, expressing a little frustration today. It's been a while since I've been that frustrated in researching a story. I have not been unable to find quotes like that in a long time. So credit to them for fixing it, but it took me calling them out to do it. So I don't know. All right. See you guys tonight. Is this me committing to a stream tonight? Tune in and find out.